All right, guys, welcome back to the Brad and Kyle channel. Today, we're gonna give you guys 3 tips on how to play straighter on the lanes, some physical game stuff, some alignment stuff, and some release stuff to help you play straighter, shoot high scores when the lanes call for that. Stay tuned. All right, Brad, so this is more your cup of tea. Playing straighter on the lanes is something that you've really tried to focus on, at least that I've seen over the last couple of years, to elevate your game. What's the first tip that the people at home can work on to make sure they're doing the right things to play straight on the lanes?
Yeah, so your angle on the lane and the trajectory of your ball and your hips are really, they're together. You know, your hips tell you everything. Well, actually, where your ball goes tell you where your hips are pointed, essentially. And normally, in bowling nowadays, the balls are strong, the oil evaporates, we move left. As we move left for a right-hander, we go into a little bit more oil, and then we open up the angles, and then we hook it. And then sometimes that's just not an option, so being able to do the opposite, not just move left and open up, but actually be able to move back to the right, and then what we call close-up. Now, close-up is referring to the angle of your hips. Are the angle of your hips open or are they closed? Now, most of us have open hips. I mean, if you think about all the people that love to hook the ball, the Prathers, the EJs, the Belmos, the Shermans, all of them, they love open hips and they love soft releases, you know, kind of fall through the left a little bit. But then when they go back playing straight, they have a hard time getting that similar angle off their hand every time like a Norm Duke would be able to do. And the difference is the direction of the body and the hip. So you just have to make sure that they're closed. And if you naturally have open hips, the feeling of you being square is actually going to feel closed because what's normal to you is open. So if you struggle with open hips and you want to learn how to play straighter, just shove the hips closed, meaning as a right-hander, you'll be facing the 7-pin almost, right? I mean, you're just shut off. That ball going to the right is not going to work very well. And so when you go, you're naturally going to want to open up and do the thing and just focus on it. Don't let your right hip kind of get behind your left, you know. And another thing is, you kind of just saw my leg. The trail leg is also connected to the hip and tells you the direction that they're facing. If you overswing the trail leg like a Marshall Kent does, like a Kyle Sherman does, and have you fouled with your trail leg before?
I used to in my more flexible days.
I gotcha. But it's possible to even foul because this thing swings over because you're trying to generate so much power. And that is as open as you can get. So paying attention to the closeness of your hips and then the position of your trail leg. That's tough to practice. Like, if that's something you need to work on, take your time, go in there and really take your time because it is hard to practice. But we don't want it to overswing and open the hips, and we don't want it to be directly behind us. We look more of like a 7 o'clock position and on the ground too, so that way your angles can be consistent as it comes off your hand.
Yeah, get in that position again. You can clearly see that if Brad's in a 7 o'clock position, his hips are pretty square. As soon as I move him to where we got that to a 9 o'clock, look at his hips now, pointed right to the right wall.
And actually, I didn't even move it. All I did was lift the heel. But anyway, yeah, I mean, moving it, lifting the heel, that just opens you up.
Yeah, so focusing on looking at your finishing position, and if you guys can do some videos, slow-mo videos, whatever you need to do, and see that position of the trail leg and where your hips are at your finished position. If they're really open like this, you're probably someone that likes hooking the lane. You probably have trouble keeping your angles in front of you. So Brad, now we have a little physical game tip. Once we have our hips closed, what is the next tip I guess we can give everyone to try to have straighter angles?
Next thing we're going to talk about is our alignment, and similar to not necessarily like your position at the foul line, but when you're standing up there, like we said, closed hips, that's the beginning of your alignment. That's you telling your brain, okay, this is where I'm gonna line up, and this is where I'm gonna go. And then you go. And then your body does whatever it wants, you know, but when you're going, the alignment needs to be in the same way. If you start going and then you naturally open up and then you try and close them back, well, that'll, it's hard to get everything realigned, and it's hard to get to the foul line in a consistent way. And we can tell when our alignment is off when we release the ball and the angle off of our hand is just a little bit different each time. And I'll tell you, if you release the ball and the angle of the ball off your hand is like to the right gutter, you're not very closed, because the angle of the ball is kind of going in the direction of the gutter, which means your hips are open.
Yeah, I think a really good point on alignment, and I struggle with this too, is that a lot of people have a natural belly to their game. We're so used to hooking the bowling ball that my eyes always like see a natural little hook. Even when I'm trying to play straight on the lane, I think I'm like, the amount of times I've gone and I'm like, yeah, bro, I'm playing pretty straight. I'm going a little 10 to 8 right here. And he's like, dude, your ball's crossing 14. And I'm like, well, it looks 10 to 8 to me, and that's the problem. So I'm so used to hooking the ball. That's how I grew up, that playing straight to me, like Brad said earlier, kind of looks like I'm throwing it just almost to the left. So a good way to look at this is when you get to your finished position at the foul line. If I'm trying to go like up 10, so if I was to go board 10 to 10, I would obviously want to lay it down right on 10. So your plant leg, whatever it is, left-handed for a right-hander, should be about 6 to 7 boards left of 10, because that's about the window you need for the bowling ball. If you see that you're more like 12 to 15 and you're standing over here and I throw the ball and I finish and I look and I go, okay, it looked like I was going to go up 10, but once I stand up here, I clearly see, oh no, if I hit 10 right here, I'm bellying that thing out to 5 all day.
Yeah, your eyes definitely play a trick on you, which is why there's a difference in just standing there and aiming, and then once you walk and get to the foul line, your eyes and brain are like kind of doing a whole bunch of different stuff. They're going to go back to what they're used to. And we're used to being at the foul line looking left to right. And you have to get used to being at the foul line looking in front of you. And we've heard players, I saw on social media the other day, someone said front to back, play the lane front to back. And that's just a term we use. But what it means is, are we trying to get our angles to go with the direction of the boards, or are we trying to get our angles to go across the boards? And when we play up the lane, that's what we mean is we want our angle of the ball to be going with the boards.
So you ready to try a shot here?
Let's throw some shots. So, all right, so I'm gonna move all the way out to the right, and I'm gonna see if we can't get somewhat lined up on playing straight. We have a somewhat sports shot out here, and then we're gonna piece together the difficulties and see if we can't figure it out.
So 2 things we're working on here is you're making sure your alignment's good, and we're gonna focus on that trail leg being.
And I'm standing so close to the ball return that even me, I'm used to this, and I feel like I'm angling at the head pin. So I feel very closed, and then I'm gonna make sure that my right hip stays closed throughout the whole thing, not an overswing on the trail leg, and we should be pretty good.
All right, let's see.
Of course, that was the first one I did.
That was beautiful. That was solid. Okay, I want to try another shot here. I want you to try to do the same exact thing, but I want you to get that trail leg to swing wide open.
Oh man, you're trying to kill me here.
So everything you practice with all the time,
yeah.
You ready?
Right.
Do the opposite.
Swingy trail leg. I mean, the second the trail leg overswings, you lose all mobility, stability, whatever ability else there is. You just lose it all.
Absolutely. You could tell that when I told you to swing that open, your hips are obviously not on the same game plan as you trying to throw it straight. But you look at this and you go back and watch videos of these guys that are masters of playing straight, like a Norm Duke or a Liz Johnson. You watch at the line, when they get there, it's just boom. It's just right there. And there's no trail leg swinging and getting them out of control. Their position is so stable, and that's one of the biggest keys to playing straight is you got to keep that lower body and upper body stable. One of the biggest ways we do that is not over swinging and getting this trail leg all up in the air, which we see a lot. All right, Brad, so we have the alignment, we have the physical game tip, now we have the release. What is a tip that you can give the people about the release that's going to help them play straighter more efficiently?
When we use the word soft, when we release the bowling ball, or if you ever hear a pro use the word soft, it means we're not trying to put a lot of rev rate on the bowling ball. Clearly, the better you get, the more things you can do with a bowling ball. You can have a dump release. You might even be able to pick all your spares with a reactive ball. You can throw it that flat. You can change your roll, you can change your positioning of a couple fingers, you can do all different kinds of things. But when playing straight, it is really important that you don't have the same release that you have when you're trying to play really far left to right. It's just not going to work. There's much more spin involved, there's much more rev rate involved into properly covering a lot of boards. When you're not trying to cover a lot of boards, rev rate can actually be bad for you. And in today's world, we have a lot of rev rate. You know, EJ Tackett, like all the pros, basically, the entire PBA Tour, whether you're one-handed or two-handed, has a lot of rev rate. And when we watch those guys play straight, they actually like to throw a lot of urethane, which tells you that the higher rev rate you have, the harder it is, or the harder it can definitely be to throw reactive straight. And that's why it's even the most important is like you cannot up hit the ball. You cannot have a release that is designed to make the ball hook. You have to have a release that is designed to make the ball slide down there more than it's actually going to hook. In order to do that, you have to find a way to get the ball off your hand quicker and in a less strong position. So we're not getting all the way under it and trying to create as many revs as we can. We're just nice, gentle, nothing like this, you know, just a nice and easy release that's going to let the ball just dump off your hand instead of it like having a lot of rotation off your hand.
Yeah, the biggest thing, and I can attest to this because this is something that I've tried to work on and it's an improvement, but when I try to hook the ball, you know, there's a certain level of, like you just said, getting under it, being really aggressive with the hand. Well, when we play straight, because we're trying to get that ball to pick up, a lot of times when we're playing it straight, we're trying to get that ball to mellow out and be really smooth and read the lane in a very predictable, controlled manner. And when you're really aggressive with it, it becomes, the reaction that you get becomes more violent. When you're really up hitting, you have a lot of grip pressure and you're really trying to get on that ball. Well, if we're playing straight, that doesn't give you that smooth reaction we're looking for. It also, what is the craziest thing to me, because me and Brad have had practice sessions on it, is that he'll get me to start doing this soft release, and the carry is the most unbelievable thing. If you get that ball off your hand, clean, soft, and you're playing straight, that is when the carry happens. That's when the fours start tripping, the splits start getting out of the way. Everything works when you watch these guys go, how are they doing that playing straight? It's because their hand is so soft, and that's how they get all the pins to fall. When I play straight, a lot of times my hand's way too aggressive, I'm using way too much energy, and I split, and I leave that 4-pin. All of a sudden, I shoot 170, 180, and these guys are shooting 220, 230 because they're getting those carries. So it's amazing how little effort you actually need to put in the release when you're playing straight. So why don't we try a couple shots here, Brad?
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's, maybe this first shot, we just throw like a normal, like you would be soft, up the lane, straight, exactly how you want.
Okay.
So that would have been
pretty good.
That would have been solid right there. Trail leg was in a good position. Our alignment was good. Okay, now the only thing I want you to change is to be more aggressive with your hand.
All right.
And really overemphasize a little bit, because we know you're really good at being soft and staying and playing straight, but for the viewers at home, let's see what an overly aggressive shot looks like playing straight.
Yeah, so this will be my left to right hook shot. Actually, of course, it looks amazing.
It didn't look bad, but we did ring the 10, which
We
didn't
did
happen
ring the 10.
before.
We talked about carry.
We talked about carry. Now that did look better. Maybe it's the new ball.
Well,
man.
we're bowling on a
The
sports
new
shot
ball,
here.
man. The new ball gets to the pocket no matter what. But hopefully the viewers at home could see the more energy you put into that shot. You could tell that you really tried to hit that one more. It was more aggressive, and it came behind the head pin.
Yeah,
so we
well,
didn't strike.
Look at the difference in reaction. That ball was revving fast, and we thought initially that it was going to overhook. It didn't overhook. And then we had this moment of like, oh, it's going to strike, and then it rang a 10. Whenever you're in that mode where it's like you throw it and you're like, you know, that's where the stability and the control gets out of hand. And softening up allows you to regain that control, regain the off hits, and know that like when you execute the shot, that it's going to do exactly what you want to do.
Yeah, being soft, I can't stress it enough to where I think it's probably the most important tip out of the three is that gives you all your off hits, all your split breakups, everything to shoot higher games. So you want a little challenge here?
Sure.
So we ranked 10 with the aggressive one. We struck earlier. I think the second one you threw, being nice to it, would have struck. Let's see if we can get a third one on
All
here.
right.
Being soft, good alignment, trail leg down.
Yeah, and when I throw it, when I release it, I want the ball to read the lane really early. Like I want the ball to come off my hand slow enough. I'm not trying to make it spin, I'm just floating it. And then when you float it, the ball just does it on its own. You're not really controlling anything, you're just dropping it. So here we go.
I'll buy you lunch if you trip out the 4-9.
Trip out the 4-9, how?
Just want an
I
off
don't wanna
hit.
do that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I hope they could see the difference in reaction.
I really hope.
Like-
Just to our eye, we can see it
Yes.
here. But you can just tell how less effort there, because of the angle that we're playing, allows the ball to do exactly the right thing, strike and carry. We saw the one where we put more effort into it. Everyone thinks more revs, more power. Well, yeah, at times that's going to give you what you need to strike. But I promise you, when you're playing these angles, that soft touch is just going to allow you to shoot the scores, get the off hits, get the carry like we saw in those shots.
All right, everyone, so that is our video on playing straighter. You know, we could dive into these topics all the time. This is what we study. This is what we love to talk about, angles and all that fun stuff. So when you're playing straight and you want to learn how to play straight, get over there, get your angles closed, get your alignment right, get your eyes right, and then get your balance and your trail leg right. Don't overhit it, and then just do that until it gets more comfortable, and then you'll eventually have more speed. The ball will glide down there easier. It'll be easier to play straight.
Yeah, good luck, because I've been working on this for a while. This is not something we're trying to oversimplify or anything. This is something really hard to do. It's something that's kind of getting lost in the modern game as well. So
Absolutely.
follow these 3 tips, practice, check it out. Throw it in the comments. Whatever you guys have tips on playing straight, things you need to work on, things you need to add, we'd love to know. And maybe you can coach me up on this, because I could always use it. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching the video. Like, subscribe. It helps us out with the algorithm. We love you guys. Peace.